Emily had just settled into her dorm room at University of Millwood when she heard a knock at the door. She opened it to find a friendly-looking middle-aged man with a warm smile, who introduced himself as Frank. He said he had a room for rent in his house and thought she might be interested. Emily had been looking for a more affordable living arrangement, so she listened attentively as Frank described the room and the amenities of the house. Frank seemed like a nice enough guy, and Emily felt comfortable enough to set up a time to meet him at his house the next day. The next day, Emily drove to Frank's house, located in the quiet town of Northwood. When she arrived, she followed Frank through the house to the upstairs bedroom. The room was clean and well lit, but Emily noticed Frank watching her intently, studying her reaction to the space. He then began to ask Emily questions about her personal life, her plans for the future, her family, and her interests. Emily began to feel uneasy, sensing that Frank was being overly curious about her personal life. Frank then insisted on showing Emily his collection of antique clocks in his basement. As soon as Emily descended the stairs, she felt a sharp blow to the back of her head, and everything went black. When Emily regained consciousness, she was bound to a chair in the middle of the basement. Frank stood over her with a twisted grin on his face. He told her that she was going to be the centerpiece of his latest art project. Frank then began to torture Emily, giving her just enough food and water to keep her alive, but never enough to satiate her hunger and thirst. He played mind games with her, telling her that she would never be able to escape, and that he had plans to kill her once his masterpiece was complete. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's situation grew worse by the day. Her body was covered in bruises and cuts, and her mind was slowly slipping away. But hope was not lost. Emily's mother, who lived in the neighboring town of Southwood, had grown concerned after her daughter didn't return her calls for weeks. Her mother's intuition told her that something was wrong, so she contacted the police and set out to find Emily. With the help of the police, Emily's mother was able to track down Frank's house and rescue her daughter. Frank was apprehended and charged with kidnapping and torture. Emily was physically free, but the psychological trauma of her experience would stay with her for the rest of her life. She had learned a painful lesson about the dangers of trusting strangers and that evil can be lurking in even the most unsuspecting places.